Okay, y'all. I've seen a lot of alligators here lately on a few programs. Sons of Guns. I saw they made a bang stick here a while back. The comedian Get Her Done guy, the new series he has, he's messing with alligators. Anderson 1 just did a video, and in his was an alligator, and so I was forced to tell my little experience. I'm using this t-shirt as a backdrop. Some of you haven't made up your mind whether to get one in the future. It's a quality t-shirt, very well done, excellent quality. But I wanted to share my alligator experience with you. This is a alligator. As you can see, he's got a rope and a bungee cord around his mouth. A friend of mine and I were driving through the piney woods on a gravel road one day. This has been, oh Lord, 20-something, 24 years ago, somewhere in there. And we were driving, just riding around, and this alligator here was laying across the road. No water within miles. And it was the first time I'd ever seen it, first time he'd ever seen it. And we both jumped out, and he wanted to shoot it, and me and Mr. Miller High Life wanted to catch it alive. So it had its mouth wide open, and it was growling like the biggest dog you ever heard. Actually, it was a roar. And I've never fooled with alligators, but Mr. Miller High Life evidently had. And he told me to walk up to it and close its mouth. So I walked up to it on its left side with my right side to it, and I walked up just within 6 inches of it, I guess. And I was in the process of raising my right foot to put on top of its snout, and the entire animal came off the ground except for its front legs, and it hit me with the tail across my thigh, and I made a exit stage left real quick, hobbled out in the middle of the gravel road there and dropped my pants. I thought the thing had pulled a pistol out of its pocket and shot me. And there was a big purple mark across my leg, looked like somebody had hit me with a 2x8. And this thing never moved. After that, it's laying there with its mouth open, growling like you wouldn't believe. And so I hobbled on over back to the pickup truck. Pickup truck was about 20 feet away, and went to the back of it where the cooler was and got a couple of ponies out of there and sat there in the front of the truck and drank a couple Miller High Life ponies to bolster my nerves, I guess. And we had a discussion about whether an alligator could open its mouth or couldn't close its mouth, or what the deal, and neither one of us knew. So I walked back around. This time I went around to the back of the alligator, and I just bent over at the waist, and Mr. Miller High Life told me to jump on it. So I jumped on it, on its back. I never done it in my life, and it was like I was a human windshield wiper blade in the middle of this gravel road, and I couldn't turn loose. I had to stay on it. Getting on it was easy, but getting off was, I could tell it was going to be kind of rough. So this thing finally calmed down enough, and I jumped and ran, and it opened its mouth again and just laid there roaring, I guess because it was the biggest thing there. And went to the back of the truck and got another pony out, and my friend and I are discussing what's the next alternative. And so I walked up to it face on, straight away. Walked up to it. It had his mouth open, and when it would growl, there was a flap in the back of its mouth, just sit there flapping, and it was roaring. And I walked up to it, and too damn close scares me when I think about it, what he could have done, but it didn't. And I raised my right leg and put it on top of its mouth, and I closed its mouth and then bent over and got my hands around its mouth on each side, my thumb on the top, my hand on the bottom, and it was helpless. That was the end of it. It couldn't do anything, and I turned around and just grabbed it with my thumb and a couple fingers and stood back up straight, kind of brought the alligator's head up with me, and looked at my buddy, and I said, "Yeah, we got him now, man." I said, "Get some rope or tape or something." So he dug around inside the truck there, and he found some tape, and he came back over, and we were going to put a stick through the alligator's mouth and tie the tape on it, and I don't know what we had planned. We'd never done this. And as we put the stick in the alligator's mouth, the pieces of the stick were falling out on the other side, because he couldn't open his mouth, but he had a lot of pressure coming down. So we finally just wrapped the tape around his mouth a few times and backed off real quick, and it just laid there with this tape on its mouth. And my buddy went and got this lariat you see here, and we slipped the lariat over this gator's mouth behind the neck there, and backed off about 15-20 feet and gave it a pull, and all hell broke loose. This was like flying a model airplane, except it was an alligator on the other end. And this thing flopped around and flopped around, and it finally settled down. And about that time, a truck with a couple guys in it had pulled up, and they gave us a hand, and we loaded it up in the back of this truck, and off to the honky-tonks we went to show off our prize. And we took it to several honky-tonks. We took it inside of one of them, and that was an experience, because as we're coming in, all these excited patrons are coming out, and it got kind of congested there at the door. But anyway, we drug it around. We had it for 3 or 4 days, and my buddy wanted to go show it to a few other people, so I went home and took a shower. And when I was there, I'd been stopping and hosing it off to cool it off. And when my buddy left, he didn't think to stop and cool the thing off. And I went over to his house, and he's standing there at the back of the truck with the hose running. And I said, "What's up?" And he said, "We got problems." And I said, "What kind of problems?" He said, "Madge died." And I said, "Died?" I said, "What happened?" He said she just flipped over and died. I walked up there and this alligator's laying there belly up. And we knew it was a female because I had seen a movie on alligators on Discovery Channel, and it shows you how to sex them. And Mr. Miller told me to find out, so I had put my, you'll have to Google it to see how you sex an alligator, but I sexed it up to about here, my whole hand, and it was definitely a female. I'm going to hold my thumb over my buddy's face here because he's passed away, and he's not with us anymore, and I don't know if his family would want to picture his face on there, but this is me. You can look at my eyes and tell that I wasn't feeling too much pain. This was taken at 10:30 in the morning, the day we wrestled this thing down. If you look at it, the alligator's throat right there, see that bulge? Even with its mouth shut, it's growling its ass off. But anyway, he's standing there with the hose running, and I said, "What are we going to do?" And he said, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "Let's eat it." So we'd never eaten it. We didn't know what to expect. And we skinned the tail and whacked it off. It was long as the inside of a standard bathtub. And we invited all kinds of people over, and I filleted the meat off of the tail, and the fat is next to the bone. You can tell by looking, it's a different color, and you've got to get that fat off because it tastes like pond scum. And we made tartar sauce and hush puppies and French fries, and just before everybody got there I said, "Well, I better check and see what it tastes like, make sure it's going to be okay." And I fried a piece of it, and it tasted like a pork chop. So I had to go to scrambling then because everything we had, well, we thought it was going to be like a fish, So we went and got it all, went to the fish market and got a bunch of fish, and we had a nice fish fry, but the rest of it got ate just like you would eat pork chops or something. But I thought y'all might get a kick out of this. This alligator whipped my ass twice before I finally was able to subdue it. But we were the talk of the town there for a while. This alligator was 9'6". I don't know how much it weighed, between 250, 300 pounds, I guess. But it was quite an experience, and I thought I'd share it with you after having seen all these other alligators. And I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you.